Today we're going to be reviewing Hazbin Hotel Season 1. So Hazbin Hotel Season 1 follows Charlie Morningstar, the Princess of Hell and heir to the throne by her father, Lucifer Morningstar. And every year there is a yearly extermination that is sent an army of angels from heaven led by a general named Adam. We'll get to him in a moment. And to stop this extermination, with the purpose of killing sinners just because of overpopulation in hell, Charlie Morningstar, or just Charlie, goes on a mission to find a new way to abolish the extermination by making a hotel that redeems sinners so that when they are redeemed, they go to heaven and doesn't have to be killed due to the overpopulation of hell. With help from her girlfriend Vaggie and their patron named Angel Dust and their host Alistair, they go on a journey to do exactly that before the last day of the year comes. So, there's a lot of things about this show that is just amazing, but you guys basically know the drill. Whenever I make a review, I always tell you guys my history behind it first, and then we actually do the review. So, my overall history with the show goes back way into the beginning, I believe, of 2019. And that was a year before chaos spread in 2020. But we're not going to get into that. Anyway, I saw a trailer for an animated series titled Hazbin Hotel. And there were things about the show that I didn't know about it yet before the pilot came out. When I did some digging around where videos started explaining everything, I thought that it was going to be something that we've never seen before. An animated show made for the internet, and it was going to be something that we've gotten, but it was going to be on the internet. But as the months passed and details spread, I realized that that's not what we were getting. We were going to get an independent animated special that was going to span into a full-on series, but I thought it was going to be a series altogether. So when Halloween came around and the pilot was released, you guys can imagine how excited I was. The final trailer came out. I had to wait a whole week for the pilot to come out, and that was when I knew everything. It was just a trailer for a pilot. But when I saw the pilot, I liked it, and I wanted a whole full-on series on it. I really did believe that next week we're going to get episode 2, but then Vivienne announced that she didn't want to waste months just to make another episode. She wanted to turn Hazbin Hotel into a full-on series. So, as months turned to years, well, she got her wish. After selling the pilot or pitching the ideas to major studios, A24, Bento Box, and Amazon worked together and turned Hazbin Hotel into a fully fledged series. And on February, all 8 episodes of the first season finally came out. So, I did what anyone who would be excited of a show that they had history with for a very long time, even before the series even began, did. I waited until all 8 of the episodes came out, and I finally watched it. And just by rewatching it, just for this review, I gotta say, despite everything that I've heard from the backlash, it was still a pretty good show. The thing about Hazbin Hotel as a series is that even though that it has a very unique and amazing plot that is so original that it deserves to be a franchise all on its own, which it is, we'll get to that later, it's because of the story itself that I really do like. And although the season alone does have some problems, it goes from being a Adventure of the Week episodes from episode 1 to 4 to story-driven elements from episode 5 to 8. And it does suffer when you realize what direction Vivienne is going in. Many people wanted Hazbin Hotel to be an episode where every episode is about Charlie redeeming sinners, and that's what the pilot was building up towards. And we didn't get that. And when we did, each episode wasn't introducing a new sinner, rather instead it was just developing the cast that was already established from the pilot in the first 2 episodes. And I honestly never had a problem with that. The first episode did its job by reintroducing characters that we already knew. If you didn't see the pilot, episode 1 basically does the pilot's job, but in the first quarter of the episode, whereas the remaining 4 quarters of the episode is just about continuing and beginning the story. As Charlie goes to a meeting to meet the general of the Angel Army, after a week into the extermination, because the extermination's over now, we are introduced to the leader, who is Adam, the first man Adam from the Bible. And what I love the most about Hazbin Hotel is that even though it is basing itself off of Christian mythology, it's not really a show about Christian mythology. It has Christian elements to it, and in that sense, but it's not really a Christian themed show, and it's not really a demonic show either. If anything, Hazbin Hotel alone is nothing more than a parody of everything that the Bible is, along with Christianity, without it being offensive. Because the character Adam, despite being based off of Adam from the Bible and a bunch of other figures from Christian mythology is there, they're not exactly who they are presenting themselves out to be. And that's just something I wanted to clear up. So, episode 1 has 2 plots. 1, Charlie's meeting with Adam, and 2, Vaggie making a commercial for the hotel. And the overall episode was actually a really good improvement. Every episode has 2 songs, and I was worried at first because I wasn't sure what a Hazbin Hotel series would look like, a series like Hazbin Hotel looked like as a musical. But after watching the first episode, I wanted to see more. And episode 2 carries over to that. Episode 1 ends in 2 ways. 1, we now know that the extermination will happen sooner than ever before. Instead of it coming at the end of the year, Charlie has 6 months to find a way to prove that her hotel can work. 2, all of hell knows about it, and not only that, but we find out why it happened. Apparently, one of the sinners in Pentagram City managed to kill an extermination angel, which spooked Adam and now furthers his drive to not only lower the population of hell, but he wants to take over all of hell. He wants to destroy all of hell. And I have to assume that includes everything on the Pride Ring, because little frame for reference, going into Hell of a Boss presents hell as 7 realms, which are called rings of hell, and sinners can't leave the Pride Ring, so by that standard, only the Pride Ring is in danger. I'm not sure the rest of the cast knows about the 7 rings of hell. If anything, I think Charlie is the only one who knows about it. But there is a chance that Vaggie told her about it, but they're not going to bring it up. That being said, we go to the next episode and we're introduced to a new character who was originally not supposed to be a recurring character, let alone an important character in the overall story. He was supposed to be a one-and-done character in the pilot, but due to his popularity, he ended up joining the main cast. And this character is, in fact, Sir Pentious. And looking back at the character alone, he did work good as an antagonist, but not as a villain. And I felt like he was wasted in the pilot, which makes sense when you think about how his character ended there, but I'm glad that he actually came back. So you can imagine how surprised I was when I found out he was actually going to join the cast. And when I did see episode 2, I actually liked it. We are introduced to the V's in episode 2, and we are introduced to them the same way we're introduced to the main cast in episode 1, where we are introduced to who they are one by one. Vox is a TV head demon, and he is obsessed with entertainment. Velvet is the influencer, and Valentino is an interesting film director. I'm not going to tell you what kind of films he makes. If you want to know, just watch the show. If you don't know, yeah, you got to watch the show. If you do know, then you know. And he is actually an owner of souls, with one character in particular, my favorite character, Angel Dust. And after he joined the hotel, he moved and now lives in the hotel, but he still comes back and works to make more films there. And after Vox finds out that Alistair, the radio demon, is back in town after 7 years, it's soon revealed that Alistair and Vox are on bad terms. They are rivals, to be exact. And I never really put much thought into it, but I really do love their rivalry together. It's radio versus video, which is a rivalry that is so old, so cringy and corny, but at the same time, when you think about the logic between those two, it makes so much sense. And episode 3, I actually like episode 3. It is actually pretty good. It's just, it has plot A and plot B, just like episode 1, but episode 2 doesn't really have that. I mean, yeah, I do have 2 plots, but it's not like we switch between them all the time. It's still one plot. So episode 3, the first plot is about Vaggie trying to get everyone to pull their crap together after Charlie makes a training exercise class for the rest of the cast of the crew. And the second plot, well, actually there's a bunch of plots, but the second plot is with Alistair going to a meeting to meet the rest of the overlords. And this is where everyone, or at least the overlords, find out that an angel can be killed. And it's soon revealed that Carmilla Carmine, one of the overlords that can make weapons, is the one who killed them. And she's trying to keep this a secret, but Alistair actually finds out about it after he takes the Egg Boys, which is creations by Serpentius, snoops in and hears the whole thing. So now we have to figure out what that's going to be about. Episode 4 is a different one, and it was actually a pretty violent episode. Not violent like it was banned, but like in the sense of the subject matter of the episode. And it is centered around my favorite character, who I said before is Angel Dust. Angel Dust is my favorite character in the whole show, and every moment with him is just amazing in the entire series. So we get in depth with Angel Dust as a character. He is one of the most famous film actors in Hell, but due to trading his soul in to get this high up to that rank with help of Valentino, he is technically property. Charlie tries to get into the situation by helping him out of it, but only made things worse for him in that case, and he had to work all night in multiple films because of it. And this is where he actually has somewhat of interest with one of the other cast, which is Husker. I guess it's worth mentioning to pause, but first I'm going to finish this episode. I actually liked Masquerade because the overall episode itself dove into Angel Dust's character, and I really did like the overall development with the character. So yeah, I think it's time to actually talk about the characters. So first we have Charlie Morningstar, who is the main character of Hazbin Hotel, and she is the daughter of Lucifer and is the princess of Hell, and she's going to be the queen of Hell in due time. She has this goal where she is tired of seeing her people being slaughtered every year just because Hell is overpopulated. So instead, she finds a newer, better, efficient way to save her people by sending them to heaven. But to do that, she has to redeem them so that they can go to heaven. But she doesn't know how to prove that the hotel can work. Then we have Vaggie, Charlie's girlfriend, who is, honestly, her part in the hotel is kind of weird. I mean, you could say that she's the second in command and also the one in charge. No, not the one in charge. The bodyguard, the security guard. Say whatever you will, that's basically her role. We also have Angel Dust, like I said, my favorite character, an interesting film actor who takes his job way too serious, but seems to enjoy what he does. Next we have Alistair, the radio demon, who is one of, if not the most powerful sinner in Hell, and he's also accompanied by 2 sinners who he owns their souls to. The first one is Nifty, who joins Alistair in his goal, we'll get to that later, in cleaning up the hotel as she is the hotel's maid. And his second and final one, his name is Husker, but most of them call him Husk, so I'm just going to call him Husk, but there is a chance I might call him Husker too. So either way, he acts as the bartender of the hotel, and he basically hates his life. But in all seriousness, the cast in general, or the main 6, are actually really great. Their dynamic is amazing, and their interactions is also really amazing too. And yeah, Vaggie does not like Alistair at all, as she knows what he's capable of in terms of being a sinner and a demon. And the interactions that she has with Vaggie has with Charlie is also really great. Their girlfriend's dynamic is also very amazing and is very wholesome. And there will be times where they fight, but in the end of the day, they are lovers first and whatever you call arguers. I know it's not that it's not a good one, but you guys get the point. I also love Angel Dust's interactions with Husker because, well, people ship them together. Husker Dust is actually a really good ship. They're actually my favorite ship in the whole series, with Shaggy, who is Charlie and Vaggie, being my second favorite. And Nifty was a weird one, but over the course of season 1, I actually did get used to them. Her. There are other characters that does join the cast later on in the overall series, such as Serpentious, Cherry Bomb, Lucifer, because he does actually show up in episode 5, and many more, but those are just the examples. The show does suffer for having multiple characters when really not really. They are all supportive characters. You can put characters in the show that isn't in the main plot, and those are called supporting characters. And there are a bunch of other things that the show does get hate for, but there are way too many reviews of Hazbin Hotel, so I don't really need to get into it. There is a chance I might mention it a little, but that's just about it. And then we have Lucifer in general, who does make an appearance in the second half of the first season. And the overall banter that he has with Alistair did come out of nowhere for me, but then I realized who Alistair is as a character, and it makes a lot of sense that he wants to start crap with Lucifer, who is his boss's, or I guess they're partners, Charlie's dad. But in the grand scheme of it all, it was actually really funny when he got jealous of Lucifer, when he got jealous of Alistair, when he was, praising Charlie for her hard work with the hotel. Most people think that Lucifer thought that Alistair was actually Charlie's boyfriend, which makes sense when you rewatch that whole part where he was praising her. But then I did think of it at first, but I think it still makes sense. And then Charlie introduces Vaggie to Lucifer, and that scene alone was very funny. It was wholesome and funny at the same time, and I really actually liked it. And I did also very much like Hell's Greatest Dad, which is just a song between Alistair and Lucifer fighting over Charlie, and the song was actually really funny. I still remember all the lyrics, but the second song, more than anything, was actually really great too. And then after that, the overall struggle between Charlie and Lucifer was actually resolved in the very same episode. All Charlie ever wanted was to finish what her mom started and be the leader that Lucifer became while still being a king. He is still a king. She hasn't taken over the throne yet, but you get the point. And this episode alone was able to show Lucifer Charlie's drive and determination to do just that, to save hell and its people, or at least in the Pride Ring for that matter. And they were able to get a meeting with heaven because her goal is to meet the person in charge, who is the Seraphim. So going into heaven, it didn't take long for Adam and Luke to figure out that Charlie and Vaggie is in heaven, to have a meeting with them. And once again, we have two plots in this episode, where plot 1 is in fact Charlie and Vaggie going to court with the Seraphim, or just Sarah and her sister Emily, who I found out recently in season 2, they're actually sisters, and trying to convince them about the hotel so that they can stop with the extermination. And then there's the second plot where Cherry Bomb, who is Angel Dust's best friend, go to a nightclub alongside Husker, Nifty, and Serpentious, who has a crush on her. And in that plot, he is trying to impress her. And that episode alone was also really great. You Didn't Know was a really great song. It felt like one of those songs that you hear before a huge climactic battle. And And a lot of people can agree. Now the thing about Vaggie is that you notice that she has an eye patch and an X over her eye, and she wields an angelic weapon. This is something that a lot of fans actually noticed in the pilot, and from the release of the pilot all the way up to the release of this episode, many fans have speculated that Vaggie is actually an exorcist angel who was banished to hell for no apparent reason. There was no real reason or as to how, but before then she was actually written as a sinner that died in 2014. But I guess it was changed to her being an angel in heaven who was condemned to hell, and it is revealed why. She did actually spare a life in hell, but was reprimanded by Lute, a major antagonist in season 1, by ripping off her wings and her eye. And as a result, she met Charlie, and the rest is history. It's not implied how they got together, but it's clear that they got together. We know that already. And once it was revealed to Charlie that being the case, well, you can imagine what happened in the next episode. So now from there, they have about a month left, and Adam is not only going to wipe out every single sinner in hell, but he's also going to be coming to their hotel first. Adam acts as the season 1's main villain, and it shows. And I'll be explaining why in a moment. Adam as a character was very interesting to me because, well, you don't get a lot of villains who are evil just because they are evil. Now you get villains that are evil, yeah, but they have a good reason to be evil. Or they have a goal that is heroic, but is still very evil. So you kind of don't really know what to... You don't get villains like Adam anymore. And when you do, they are extremely rare. There's like one at least every year, if we're lucky. Then we have a villain like that every 2 years or every 3 years. You guys basically get the point. And from there, Alistair has a plan with Charlie where he finally reveals that angels can actually be killed. But he gives her the information after he makes a deal with her that will definitely not come to bite her in the butt at some point in the series. So, as a result, there are another 2 plots in this episode. Plot A follows Charlie and Alistair as they go to Cannibal Town to get an army that can help them against the force of heaven on Extermination Day, whereas Plot B sees Vaggie go to Camarilla Carmine to find out how an angel can be killed. And the rest of the cast stays in the hotel, barricading for the upcoming attack. We don't really see it happen when the two plots combine. We see them after or in the middle of preparations, but that's about it. And the final episode, of course, sees the Hazbins alongside Cherry Bomb and the cannibals prepare for one last night by drinking together. And we do get a lot of moments. We have one between Husker and Angel, where you just love their wholesome moments together. And you see Serpentius attempting to confess his feelings towards Cherry Bomb, but doesn't. Instead, he just appreciates her overall help in the upcoming war, or battlefield, whichever one you think sounds more accurate. And then we learn something interesting about Serpentius that piques Cherry Bomb's attention. So, as the morning rolls in, the rest of the episode is just angels versus demons, because Adam is just resistant to change. And we see a lot of matchups that just was amazing. We saw Alistair versus Adam. We saw Adam versus Charlie. We saw Luke versus Vaggie. And all these fights were just amazing. It felt like the series as a whole was going to end with just this season, because of how big this final fight for episode 1 was. And then we got the fight that I didn't even think we were going to get, and it was between Adam and Lucifer. And Lucifer won, obviously. But the overall fight resulted in 2 things. 1, the destruction of the Hazbin Hotel, and the death of Serpentius, because he was going to do something about Adam, but before he could do anything, Adam vaporized his Zeppelin. And we all thought that he did die. But we'll get there. And then we go over to Adam's defeat as he talks on and on about how he's supposed to be worshipped, how he created everything. And out of nowhere, he gets stabbed right in the back by Nifty and dies, which plants the seed of Loot becoming a new major antagonist in the overall story of Hazbin Hotel. And we get the final song where Charlie was about to give up, but then the rest of the Hazbins helped her get back up again and rebuild a brand new hotel. And although I do love the design of the new hotel, it's hard to say that the new hotel is better than the old hotel because you just loved the overall design. We spent 7 episodes, 8 if you count the same episode as Destroyed in, and now we have a new building. And who knows, maybe in season 2, we'll see what this new building holds. But then we have a final resolution to the overall story. Well, no. Ending to the overall story for season 1, where 2 things happen. Remember when I said that Serpentius died? Well, no, not really. Apparently he got redeemed and ended up in heaven, which will break the very foundation of everything that everyone in hell knew. And 2, well, there was this one little plot detail how Lilith never called Charlie and Charlie always called her, but she never called back. Well, there's a reason behind that. Apparently she made a deal with Adam, and after the death of Adam, it's revealed that Loot is in charge, and well, she threatens her to go back down there and stop Charlie with her goals, as it's revealed that Lilith has been in heaven the entire time. And just like me, I wanted season 2 right away. Like, I wanted Hazbin Hotel to be one of those shows where we get 2 seasons each year, but we didn't. We had to wait a whole nother year for season 2. And with that being said, Hazbin Hotel in general was a show that I've wanted to see since the trailer for the pilot came out. And after seeing the pilot, I wanted more. I wanted everything from this series. And after seeing all the theories, all the music videos, everything, it was weird how a fandom like Hazbin Hotel got its start to a series that didn't exist yet, because we got comics, we got everything by the fans before the pilot even came out. After the trailer came out, we didn't know anything about it. We just based it off of the clips and trailers that came out before the pilot came out. And before the series came out in general, we got even more. We got merch even so, just so that Spindle Horse could continue making projects for both Hazbin Hotel and Hell of a Boss. So I can say with confidence that Hazbin Hotel was a show that broke the mold, showing us that you can make a show from scratch and make it into a fully fledged series. So you can imagine just how much I love the show in general. So here's my rating. I'm going to give the story a 9 out of 10. The show itself is actually really great. The story is great too, but there are some things about the show in general that I am against, which is why this overall rating for the story is just a 9 out of 10. Because there are problems, yes, but those problems can be easily pushed to the side. And I'm going to give season 1 a 10 out of 10.